first half. Well, a couple things happened. We had 7 turnovers in the first. I think we had 4 in the first few minutes, and I was surprised. I think Tom was so excited that he was just going at a warp speed, and that kind of hurt a little bit. I also felt like I didn't realize till halftime they hit 3 threes. Frazier, I think, hit at least 2 of them at the buzzer of the shot clock, you know, and that's 9 points worth. And you know, we had a little bit of lead and we lost it, but they play hard. I said before, they play as hard as the Purdue teams with Gene Cady, and having Gene here last week, it reminded me of it. But I think Brad's done a good job with that team, and they just beat Nebraska. And the second half, I just told them at halftime, you know, can't turn it over, and we got to do a better job, you know, defending the 3. And I thought we did both things. And I'm really proud of this team. I'm proud of, you know, what they've done. Normally it's hard at the end of the year with a game left to celebrate anything, but, you know, with the fact that it's senior night and being able to win a championship at home, at least tie for one, is a special moment that I thought should have been shared for everybody. I think of Myles and things we talked about last spring. I think of all the players and what we talked about all summer and fall, and to see it come to reality is pretty special. So happy, but got a lot of work yet to do.
Coach, I want to ask you about the alpha and omega of leadership that you've had from the beginning. Antonio Smith this year, Tum Nairn, and the magnetic personas they both were in drawing guys in. Antonio with the Flintstones, Tum with everybody here. What would their similarities be, some differences, unique aspects?
Yeah, Antonio did do a great job with the, you know, the players. Tum just extended himself to this, I'm not sure to the whole nation, you know. I mean, they talk about different guys that have come in to do games, and they talk about Tum, and I think of the money ball, and it was Tum and Myles, and I think of all these things that this kid has done. I told my guys at the beginning of the year, my staff, you know, I said, hey, make sure everybody's there for that 6:30 meeting we have tomorrow. And, you know, it was early on, and the next day at 6 o'clock, I was in here with my staff, and I said, did you get a hold of everybody? And they kind of looked around. And I said, well, did you call them? And they said, well, we just called Tum. And I said, you lazy SOBs, you know, tomorrow, next year, that's not going to be as easy. You know, although I've been really, really, really excited about where Cassius has learned from him. I mean, if you watched him today in practice in our walkthrough, he's starting to develop some of those same camaraderie, some of those same togetherness characteristics that Tum has, and that's what Tum is. He's infectious.
Tom, the other day, Myles, we asked Myles if he was going to kiss the Spartan logo, and he said, no, just seniors do that. But it felt like tonight was different than a year ago. Was that kind of your plan going in? Did you talk to him about it at all? It seemed
you know, I really, I mean, it's a good question, you know, and when they started chanting one more year, I was chanting, thank God for this year, you know. But I did think about it. It just very seldom has been done, and I think it would take away from what he still has to accomplish and just put more pressure on him. I mean, I'm not kidding myself on what he's going to do, but I will tell you this: Myles doesn't ever talk about it. He just plays, and that's what's so unique about him. And so, did I think about it in my mind as I was sleeping last night or laying awake looking at the ceiling? Yes. Did I? It's just something we haven't done here, and he didn't even think about wanting to do it, if you ask me.
Tom, I'll squeeze 2 in. Did you see Myles' reaction when he grabbed the trophy? And I'll follow up with a dumb question maybe. Did tonight's experiment with Jaren Jackson coming off the bench give you pause to think maybe this would be good to help him manage foul trouble?
I thought about a couple things tonight with the foul trouble, you know. You know, they always say, watch what you wish for. And I told Cassius' mother, you know, I said, God, I said, he's never in foul trouble. And I paused and I looked at her, and she says, yeah, he's got to keep his hands up. I said, well, I thought one of them was really question mark. And I said, that's what I get for making him play defense. Before it wasn't a problem. And we both laughed. And I thought that, you know, the foul trouble, I mean, Jaren, no, I don't plan on experimenting with that. I plan on helping him grow to understand like he did last week, and he's still very valuable to us. I thought we tired early. I thought we played a little too fast early. I think everybody was jacked. They were jacked for the 3 seniors. They were jacked for Myles because that's all he talked about last spring, summer, and fall. So I think in their own way, I thought the 3 guys that played the worst the first half were Tom, Myles, and Josh, you know, and those guys are like glue. And I said to him after, I got a feeling you guys you're tighter than thieves, and because of that, I think there were weird feelings going on with that. So that's where it was at.
And did you see Myles' face when he grabbed the trophy?
I didn't. I didn't.
Smiled.
How was it? He was smiling.
Like
That's
this.
awesome. Yes.
Tom, when you look at what the focus has to be going to Wisconsin now, I would imagine you want these guys to get the experience of winning it outright. How do you keep them focused moving forward here?
Well, that's a good question, you know, and I went over that a little bit, you know. I mean, there haven't been many teams, even that I've had here, that have won it outright. Not enough of them anyway. So not only will that be the goal, but I still think the goal has got to be to put 2 halves together. You know, we have been a little inconsistent in that area, and so we've got a lot of things to keep getting better at, and we're going to get better at them. But again, you know, when they said, are you going to play the seniors, and I did it for a lot of reasons, but mostly because Cassius had come up to me and Nick, and yet, you know, it was 6-6 when they went out, so that wasn't the problem. It was Illinois played pretty good, and we turned it over too much.
With the Big Ten title, it's something this team now has, regardless of what happens. How important is that to you? And Big Ten titles, I mean, you've got as many Final Fours as you do Big Ten titles, and not things that necessarily come easy.
Yeah, Big Ten titles, especially in this day and age with the difference in, you know, the schedules and who you play. It's kind of been crazy on how to win a Big Ten championship. But, you know, I just hope I look at it like we have other things to accomplish, you know, and banners are what we'd like to do here. But it's one of those years when I'm not satisfied with that one. I'd like to win one outright, and then I'd like to, you know, really compete in that Big Ten tournament. But probably as much as anything, we need to get a little better. We need to get, you know, a little more consistent from one half to another.
With his 5 blocks tonight, Jaren now has 100 on the season. Coach Underwood said with a 1-day prep they couldn't do it, but they practiced for him with brooms. He called him a young Kevin Garnett. How big of a difference maker is Jaren? And you know, people look at the stats of scoring and rebounds, but not necessarily blocks.
Well, I think Jaren is a special player, you know, and tonight was one of those nights when he didn't score as much, although he hit that big 3 early, but he really didn't score as much. He didn't play a ton of minutes only because, you know, with different lineups, and they went really small, and that created some problems for us, so we tried to change it up. Then we went small and put him at the 5 and Myles at the 4 a little bit, but Jaren is a special kid. He can put on the floor that spin move and the dunk, and he makes his free throws usually, and he's just an incredible shot blocker. And yet, as I told him, got to keep growing on the rebounding. We got to do a better job on the offensive boards. We only had 2 at halftime. I don't know what we ended up with. Probably not more, 7. So we didn't do as good a job on that as we did last time. But Jaren still, you know, just turned 18 a couple months ago, so he's still work in progress, and the work is getting better each and every week.
Tom, I was wondering if you could take us through the last couple minutes of the first half where you went without a point guard there for a few minutes.
Yeah, it was, Cash was in foul trouble, and Tom was getting a little tired because he was having to work both ways, and so DJ said, hey, I'm going to go with McQuaid a little bit. And I said, that'd be great. And, you know, yeah, we did some good, we did some bad. We gave up that last bucket, but the layup at kind of at the buzzer, but that was more our bigs not stepping up. So, you know, we can do some things with Matt. We really can, and I think all in all, I like Tom and Cassius, but if we have to play Matt there a little bit, we can.
Coach, all the way back here. You touched a little bit on it out there, but this team in particular, what are you reflecting on? Obviously tonight is a chance to kind of look back on this team, but out of all your teams, what about this one in particular?
I don't want to be corny, but the love, the togetherness, I've had teams that were together. I'm just not sure I had teams that had a sincere love and appreciation for each other, and that's not a word you use a lot in major college football or basketball, but there's not even a question in my mind that these guys have a bond that will never be separated. I mean, I can see those guys coming back for 5-year, 10-year reunions, 20-year reunions, and like Mariucci and I, even if we don't see each other for a long time, when we get back together, it'll be tighter than tight. And I think that, and the fact that they are so humble and so unentitled. This day and age, there's just not a lot of unentitled people, and I think all of you that have covered us might not like me all the time, but it's hard not to like them all the time. And I think that's the difference. They have goals, they want to accomplish their goals, they're willing to work for their goals, they're ready to share for their goals. There's no me. I talk to some other coaches around the country right now that are struggling a little bit, and guys start playing for the NBA, or guys start playing for this, or guys start playing for that. I never even hear them talk about it, and that's unbelievable to me. But that's a lot, Myles, because he didn't talk about it last year. Last year I just assumed that he was gone, and I was only assuming because he never would talk about it. He hasn't talked about it this year either. I'm not going to assume as much. I mean, I might assume as much in the same way, but I just think it's amazing how the humility that kid has and Tom has, and that kind of branches out to our whole team. And I think they are role models. I think they are kids that people should look up to, and that's pretty awesome, man. Pretty awesome. Yes?
Coach, also in the back, saw you give kind of a hurry up to Ben Carter as he's about to kiss the floor.
Well,
how would you grade all of them on their...
I thought he was going to kiss the floor and all 15,000 fans. I thought he was going to walk into the stands, and he was, that was the longest goodbye, farewell. I had to say, Ben, I felt a little bad, and I thank Brad because he was so understanding about it. And, it is what we do here, and it means a lot to the players, enough so that we put a wall in the Hall of History about it. And I just felt like he sure deserved his time. He had 6 years, I mean, he's going on Medicare next week, so I mean, he's been here for a long time, or been in college for a long time, but it was kind of funny, I mean, I think that's what made me feel good about our fans, that he just enjoyed that moment so much that those guys don't want to leave, and if I could do that and end the game and just keep him there, I probably would.
Tom,
Yes.
do you plan to address the sexual assault reports at all this year before the season's over?
I don't know when I will, but I definitely know that, even though, as I said, I do appreciate that you guys have questions. I think I've said, a few things, and I think our president has said a few things, and right now I'm just going to focus in on my team, not shunning anything, but focus in on my team, and I appreciate that.
Anything else, guys?
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Congratulations.